So it is a beautiful wintry, well, it's still autumn in Tasmania. Lovely day here. Mind you, it did start off around 1 degrees, but we're slowly warming up in the sun. And I will be shortly, or she's here already, talking to my beautiful soul sister who I have recently had the pleasure of getting to know in a caving experience. We might talk about that later. The wonderful Jo Worsfold. So, Jo, just say hello while I share this to a few other places and make it public because we're recording live on Facebook. Just tell us about Tassie. Whatever you want to talk about while I share this and wait for people to join us.
We'll chat amongst ourselves and
That's
you
it.
can do the
Yeah.
technical stuff, Mel.
I'm doing the technical stuff right now. I'm just
You
sharing
drew the
this.
short straw.
That's it. Make sure people can see, because if it's not public, what's the point? Yeah.
Exactly.
Public, see?
So,
Okay.
my name's Jo, and I am in Tassie, as Mel alluded to. We're both in Tassie. And I was born and raised in Tassie. I spent about 10 years in WA through my 20s, but Tassie's my home. It's where I love to be. It's where I feel the most connected. So, yeah, it's a pretty special place to be.
It
I love
is, isn't
traveling. I love traveling. I love exploring. But yeah,
it?
Tassie's where it's at for home base for me.
It is. It just keeps inviting me back. This magic little, I call it heart-shaped green island. Yeah, I try to leave and then I bounce straight back. So there must be something special because so many of us are just feeling the connection and the love. And, often when you grow up in a place, you can't wait to escape. But we're all, well, I didn't grow up here, but I spent 7 years here when I was first married. And we're all just coming back.
Yes. Well, that was me. I hit my, late or not late teens, I reckon 19, 20, and I couldn't wait to leave. I was like, there's nothing here. I'm going to go and conquer the world. And, 10 years living in WA and, got married, had a couple of kids. And I just had that call to just come back, just return back here and put my roots down. And even though my husband's West Australian, he was all for it as well. And yeah, so it's funny, isn't it, how you just kind of drift around where the mood takes us, where the energy takes us, and then we find where we need to be eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't know you brought a WA import in. That was
I
good.
did.
Yeah.
Well, technically my kids are as well because they were both born in WA.
Ah.
Even though they spent Ethan wasn't even a year, 12 months in Western Australia before we came here. He still calls himself West Australian because I think it's a
Yeah.
bit cooler
It is cool. Yeah. Yeah.
to be from somewhere else, not from here.
No, it's more exotic. WA is more
Yes.
exotic. Okay. Well, we have a few people joining. So we might get started. So
Yeah.
I would love to introduce Jo Worsfold
Yay.
of Stellar Journey. Well, Luma Nova, that's your business that you are currently running, and
Yes.
very well known at the moment for your stellar journeys, which I hope you will talk about. And I've just been reading your book, Equilibrium. Oh, you can't see it because of this silly thing, but anyway. Yeah, oh, there, look, Equilibrium, back to front. So you wrote that a little while ago, but it's full of
Yeah.
so many practical tips for people that are wanting to explore their intuition, their spirituality. So one of the things I love about you, it's so down to earth, it's so accessible, and you've put a lot of your own story and vulnerability into that book. So thank you for sharing that with the world. I'm really enjoying reading it. I'm about halfway through. Yes. And so I would love for you to share on this White Owl podcast, Your Wisdom Today. And this podcast with me, Mel Craven, is all about everyday people actually that have this deeper calling to be more connected to spirit, to soul, to meaning, to purpose, and have a passion to share that with others. The owl is all about piercing the darkness to find the truth. And there's been a lot of darkness in the world, or just in people's lives. There's often dark periods, shadows, grief, disappointment, despair, loss of meaning, existential crisis, and spirituality and mindfulness is what I love to share with people so that they can reconnect to their hearts and find a happier or at least more calm way of being. So I would love to just hand it over to you to talk a little bit about how you came up with this idea of everyday spirituality. Maybe we'll start there.
So, yeah, that sounds like a good place to start. I was just listening to you then, Mel. It's like we are very much, we're very similar in that we're, helping. Yes, there's tough times and there's some heavy stuff that we navigate, through life, but it's about that, moving through that, not staying in it, and finding the magic, finding the lighter moments and the joy and the happiness. It's about that balance, isn't it, of navigating it all as best we can. And I
Yeah.
think spirituality in and of itself it helps us. It helps us to understand life. It helps us to understand what is the point, why are we here? What am I doing here? These big questions that we ask ourselves, and you don't have to be a spiritual or a religious person to be asking these questions. They're life questions. They're really big, valid, beautiful questions. And so for me, spirituality, I mean, yes, there's the sort of there's the deepest, well, not deeper spirituality. I call it kind of the spiritual stereotype sort of realm where it's very much about, someone's life is very much about, sacred women's circles and, crystals and ritual and all sorts of amazing, journeying through other realms. And it's this whole big, and it's all encompassing, and it's their whole world and their whole life. And that's amazing. But I've learned, over my own spiritual journey that I love dipping into that. But I can't stay, I can't maintain a happy, healthy, balanced life if I'm consistently sort of in that spiritual space, if that makes sense. And so I've, learned over the years to weave spiritual stuff, my spiritual self into, my everyday life so that it's natural. It feels natural. It feels easy. It feels fun. There's very little pressure and expectation. It's a way of enhancing life, really. And it's about I don't like rules. I like doing things the way I like to do them. And so I will take guidance from other people, of course. And of course I learn from other people. I was a Reiki master teacher at one stage. So I did a lot of years of, practicing Reiki and teaching Reiki. But that also kind of led me back to this. I kind of came full circle and went, well, that's Reiki is essentially, that's someone else's teachings, that's someone else's way, and it's a beautiful way, and it worked for me for a period. In fact, it opened me up to spirituality and to energy healing. It was the catalyst. It's what started it all, really. But, having the courage to just let that go and step into my own way of working with energy and living my life, it was quite profound. And the more I started talking about that with other people, because I was finding women were coming to me they were quite anxious about spirituality, and they were a little bit nervous and skeptical, and it wasn't sitting right for them, even though they were curious. And so these women were kind of finding me, and when I sort of gave them some suggestions around, well, let's try this, let's do that, and sort of help them to play with it in their own way, explore and experiment. It completely changed their approach to life and their level of happiness. And I think I've been sort of teaching this everyday spirituality concept for longer than I've actually realized. I think I've been doing it for a long time, but it's only been in the last year or so that I've actually sort of stopped and gone, okay, this is a thing. This seems to be there's a theme here. This is what I'm doing. And I sort of gave it a term. But yeah, there's a place for it, and it's having a really profound effect for women
Mm,
and men and children, but it is predominantly women that are finding me and needing my help.
mm. I really, really can relate to that. And yes, because spirituality in the past has been put in the realms of only spiritual person can access spirituality, or you need to go through certain rites and rituals. And I remember even getting into women's circles thinking, oh, do I know enough? Ooh, should I be in a sacred space? And there was all this, I don't, the word that comes to mind is pomp and ceremony and
Yeah.
different layers of ego sometimes involved. And so you have brought it back to its roots, which is everyone has access to this and everyone has their own unique way. And I
Mm.
really, really love that. It's, yeah, I think so, it's time for everything to be, I don't know, made more simple to access because it's so powerful and so needed. So, yes, tell me more
And
about
it's
what you do.
natural.
Yeah.
It's natural. We are naturally intuitive. We are naturally, a lot of people call them gifts, spiritual gifts, which you made reference to a bit of pomp and that sort of ego energy. So using the term gift kind of gives the impression that some are gifted, therefore some aren't. So I've sort of started reframing the language that I use, and so instead of calling these gifts, whether you're psychic or whether you can talk to animals or whatever it might be, these are abilities. They are natural abilities. And from reframing language like that, it's going from a gift, which feels like, oh, am I special enough? Am I worthy? Da, 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 da. Suddenly it's a natural ability. Ah, well, what's my natural ability? So women are starting to ask those questions and be open to and finding that they too can, you know, communicate with spirit and journey through different dimensions and talk to the land, have these psychic abilities, heal using energy. Like it's just open. You take the weirdness and the hype out of it and strip it back to what it actually is, and it's magic.
Yeah, everyday magic that we can all tap
Yes.
into.
Yes.
It's exciting, isn't it? Because the more you tune into this, I guess it's a non-material side of life, although it can
Yeah.
involve the material, but the more you tap into it, the more just becomes apparent and you can play with it. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about your stellar journeys.
Stellar journeys.
Sounds so playful and
Uh,
magical.
They are very
Mm.
playful and
Mm.
magical. So, stellar journeys, they have evolved over the years. They started out as what I was calling meditation and energy healing classes locally in Launceston. I would, lease a different space in Launceston, and I was sort of doing them all over the place, carting all my mats and pillows and things everywhere and setting them all out, and the people would come and have lay down and I'd play some music, and, you know, take these people that were there in the space with me on these experiences. And it was all driven through spirit. It was all divinely led. It was all channeled. And I didn't realize it really fully at the time, but it was like suddenly, you know, the music started and spirit would show me one little glimpse of something, whether it was a cloud, whether it was a color, whether it was a, you know, a location. It was just a fleeting glimpse. And then I, through my channeling gift, that was my anchor. So I connected with that. And then we started on this whole journey together. And so I was literally channeling in real time this journey through me from spirit for the people in the room. And we would just go to the most amazing places. And then again, intuitively and instinctively, I was like, okay, we're in the perfect place now. We're going to do some energy healing. So I'd take everyone through some energy healing. And that was just insane. Like the results that people were having from this energy healing was insane. And there were guidance from spirit woven throughout the whole thing. And it was 45 minutes. And we were done. We were led back into the room, and we'd ground ourselves, and off we'd go. And I don't think I fully realized at the time just how amazing and unique these experiences were. And then I sort of stopped. COVID happened and I stopped doing them and thought, well, how can I do this online? So I started taking them into an online space. I did some rebranding. The name Stellar Journeys was born, and that was a, you know, that was a bit of a download as well. The name of these sessions. And now I do them every week. So it's all online now, and women subscribe to Stellar Journeys to the tribe. And every week I channel a different stellar journey. And it's generally similar in that there's a journey and then there's energy healing and there's guidance from spirit dotted throughout the whole thing. And then I send that out to everyone in the tribe. They have their 7 days to enjoy it. And then we do it all again the following week. And they're quite different to meditation in that they're kind of conversational. They're not, and I've had a few ladies say to me that that is what they love about them. There's nothing real formal or rigid or structured, you know. You know, if I mix my words up through, we have a laugh and we've moved through it. And if I get another little intuitive knowing coming in midway through, I'll be like, oh, hang on a minute, spirit's coming in with a message. So it's very conversational and very easy. And again, I think it's because of that's why women are really receptive to it and responsive to it, because they're not trying. They're not trying to feel anything. They're not trying to have an experience. They're just following my lead and feeling into it and trusting, and the whole experience, you know, unfolds and presents itself to them. And they are magical. I'm still every week blown away by the results that women are seeing in every way, you know, physical, mental, emotional, relationships. Their spiritual journeys in general are just being, you know, profoundly deeper and bigger and strong. Yeah, they're quite something. So Stellar Journeys were my little add-on. They were a little side offering off to the side there and now they are they're my signature offering. Yeah,
How
they're pretty
special.
special.
Yeah. Like I had a little taste of a stellar journey. Would you call it a little stellar journey we had in the wet caves?
Yes. Yeah, that was a little taster.
Yeah. And
That was
that
a
was,
impromptu little moment that we had together, wasn't it? It was beautiful, you know,
yeah,
doing the
that took
caving and sort
taking you
of just
abseiling.
feeling. Yes. Throwing me off the sides of cliffs. No, not really. I willingly stepped off the side of a cliff, down into a cave. That was
Yeah,
incredible.
it
So
was to
yeah.
see you coming down on the rope. That was pretty magical. But For me, one of the highlights was the stellar journey. So we went into the beginnings of this beautiful wet cave where we could still see just the sun coming in, but we were
Mm,
sitting in the darkness on the rocks, and Joe led. There was just two of us there with Joe. Led us through a really beautiful journey where I met spirit animals and came to wonderful places to do little rituals. And it's all in your mind, but it feels real. So we're definitely tapping into soul, quantum field, spirit.
yeah.
For people that are new to this, what would you say about what you're connecting with when you're in a stellar journey?
I think it's very easy for us to assume that we're imagining things. The easy logical solution for our brains is that we've got a good imagination. We're making it up. Um, and so I think that can often be the biggest challenge, is to just let that go and think, well, mate, what if? Maybe what if it's not just me having a really
Yeah.
creative imagination? What if, this, my soul, I am seeing this, I am experiencing this. And I think if you can manage to trust it a little bit more and lean into that side of things, of it being a soul experience, and we are connecting in with energies around us. We are all energy. We are energy. Everything around us is energy. It's just in different forms, different dimensions. And I honestly, even the wisest, sage or teacher, I still don't think anyone in human form can fully comprehend the depth and the extent of this energy that we talk about, the universe or source or whatever it might be. There's different words, people, God, we all have different terms we like to use for it. It's vast, and it's always there, and it's always around us. And so I think if we can just, take a moment to, you know, think about, okay, well, what if this is real? What if this isn't my imagination? Um, and yeah, see where it takes you.
Yeah, I like that. That when I learned that you can just let your imagination go and you're not questioning, is this real? Am I making it up? What's going on?
Mm,
If you just drop into the feeling and the energy, then and be playful and curious, then that's where magic happens, awakening happens, connection with
yeah.
something a bit deeper. And you said healing happens. So do you want to talk a little bit about the energy healing?
Yeah, so we can connect into the energetic aspect of life, of living, of being a soul, and of being connected, in this energetic, beautiful web that's all around us. We can connect into it for journeying purposes. We can connect into it to communicate. We can communicate through these energetic aspects and realms, but we can also harness that energy for the purpose of healing. And so that's where I am, I believe, quite unique in that. So I'm a channel, but I call myself a healing channel, because not only do I communicate through my channeling gift, I facilitate healing. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. And I think a lot of people get stuck on do I have to hold my hands like this, and I have to use this symbol, and I have to do this, and they get so caught up in the details, they're just not really fully giving themselves a chance to go, what if I just use my intention that I'm connecting in with these energies around me, or my own energy, for the purpose of healing, and just trust and see what happens and see what unfolds. Because we can use this energy source that's all around us to literally heal ourselves. And I think when there's we have to, I think that has to come with a little bit of a caveat because, you know, you don't want, I don't believe in false hope particularly, but I think you have to be reasonable and not expect that, you know, someone's going to say to you, you can cure yourself of X, Y, Z, or you do. So when I say that we can all heal ourselves using these energies, the extent to which we can heal, you know, remains to be seen. What type of healing are you going to experience? Is it going to be physical? Is it going to be emotional? Is it going to be, you know, just a general, you feel better within yourself, and so you're better able to navigate, you know, whatever it is that you wanted the healing for. So healing comes in lots of different ways. And when we're tapping into that energy source, we are getting to the source, to the root cause of the unhappy mind, the imbalanced body, the, you know, dysfunctional relationship, or the way we feel about ourselves. There's an energetic, there's an underlying energy to all of that. And so when we start to connect in with that, you know, it ripples outwards, and that's when we start to see the changes.
Yeah. And there's so much power in just dropping into that inner sanctuary of yourself, isn't there? As opposed to being stuck in the busy, busy mind. So just,
Mm.
it's just healing, just dropping into that space, I would say.
And that's healing in and of itself, whether whether you're intentionally doing that to heal yourself, or whether you're just doing it to give yourself a 5 minute, you know, oof, I need a minute. I'm going to take five
Yeah.
minutes and just recenter and breathe. And that's healing.
Yeah.
And that's where the everyday spirituality thing comes into it for me. We are healing every second of every day with everything that we do. And so when we're making choices and decisions and taking actions that make us feel good and that make life easier and that bring us joy, we're healing. We're healing ourselves, even if we don't realize it. And that's why often you'll hear people who are, you know, I used an example in my book. That's the thing that's springing to my mind now, of the person that, you know, they were in their dream job and they loved it, but then it started to go pear-shaped and they weren't loving it anymore. And then sickness started to come in and they had some chronic illnesses starting to develop. And it wasn't until they left their job and you know, made some changes and, you know, used that as a stepping stone into something else that they were destined for, and that brought them more joy. What do you know? All the illnesses cleared up. Like, and that's not going to happen every single time. It depends on so many different things, why people heal and how people heal. But I think that's a good example of the everyday aspect of where every decision we make, every choice we make, it affects us in every way,
Yeah.
in every
Yeah.
way. And we can heal ourselves, or we can, you know, stay stuck in fear and doubt. And even if it feels comfortable, you know, it's familiar, even though it feels yuck, you know, it's familiar. So we stay, just being brave enough to make some changes. That is healing.
Yes. It's all about courage, isn't it? And
Mm,
so many people, they just stay stuck because it's a fear of the unknown sometimes,
yeah.
but also, yeah, comfort of the familiar.
Mm.
So,
That's why I launched myself off the side of the cliff and into a cave with you a few weekends ago. It absolutely terrified me. And not to the point where you know, there's a threshold, you know, you've got to know your limits and you've got to know your threshold. But this is what I'm doing more of that now. Like, I've been doing healing work, actual energy healing work on myself for a decade now. But for me, I'm finding healing now in other ways, by challenging myself, by taking chances, by abseiling and caving, for someone that has a fear of heights and a fear of, enclosed spaces, that was pretty
Well, that
huge.
was pretty challenging.
And
Yes.
it was healing. I felt like
Mm.
I could conquer the world after that, and I reckon I probably nearly
Um,
could have if you'd have put me in any situation.
you were ready to
It's,
fight the lion.
I was. It was just
Well,
so
that's a good
amazing.
example.
So yeah, having that courage to just say, how can I shake things up a little bit? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So give some more examples or ideas for people who are wanting to shake things up a bit and explore everyday spirituality. What are some tips? How can they start? Apart from
I
jumping off a
think
cliff.
I mean, you can do that if you want. I recommend it if you're feeling brave.
Mm.
I honestly believe it all starts with intuition. I think if we can work on our intuition and our ability to trust it, so many of us have these inner knowings, we have these hunches, but we're like, oh no, it's my imagination. Oh, isn't it, da 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 da. And then, in hindsight, they're like, oh, I knew that and I didn't act on it. So we are all intuitive. Working on strengthening that and trusting that is a really good place to start, because I think the more you trust yourself, the braver you're going to feel to start taking some chances. That was sort of how it happened for me anyway, and it's how it's happened for a lot of people that I've worked with and that I've helped over the years. And again, just being playful with it. Don't take it too seriously. Like, we get so serious with things, with life, with experiences, with, like, just have some fun with it. Like, it's
Yeah.
that takes that weirdness and the fear out of it a little bit as well.
So
Yeah,
have
all
some
these.
fun with certain practices, or what would you suggest? Like what's coming to my mind is, a lot of people start with um, oracle cards or crystals
Mm,
or drumming
yeah.
or talking to a tree.
Yes.
Like there's different entry points for people. So
Mm,
yeah, or every day, just meditating while you're washing the dishes and connecting with your
yeah.
guides.
Mindfulness. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
how did your intuition come? Like, how did you learn to trust yours? Have you got any examples?
Oh, I have so many examples of when I didn't listen to it and I didn't
Okay,
trust it
start
and things
there,
went
because
pear-shaped.
yeah.
I learned the hard way. This is why I want to help others, so you can also learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, if it's going pear-shaped right now, it's good. You're on the right road to start realizing that you should start
Yeah,
trusting your
yes.
intuition.
It's like the universe gives us a bit of a shake up going, come on, you knew that.
Mm,
Start trusting yourself. One example was when I was a bookkeeper many years ago. I had a bookkeeping business and I was in a meeting where was I? In Newstead somewhere, I think. And it was night time. It was dark. It was cold. It was raining. The meeting had gone late. It had gone overtime. And I just wanted to get home. I was tired. I was hungry. The kids were younger then. So I knew that, it was madhouse time and I just wanted to get home and help and get on with things. And so by the time this meeting finished, I was like, sort of racing out to the car and I jumped in my car. It was pouring with rain. I jumped in the car and it was like these literal words in my head. Someone has hit your car. And I ignored it. And I was like, whatever. Like I ignored it. I was rushing. I was frustrated, just wanting to get home. And so they came again as I was chucking all my stuff on the seat, getting my seatbelt on. It was someone's hit your car. And I was like, oh, really? No, I am not getting out in this rain. I'm not paying attention. And then I noticed there was a white piece of paper under my windscreen wiper, and I ignored it. I thought I need to. I should have got out of the car
You really
in the
weren't
rain
listening.
and taken that piece of paper. I did not. And so I drove up the road, windscreen wipers going because it was raining. This little bit of paper was just going back, and I was like willing it to hurry up and get off the car and out of the way. I was having a moment. I'm much more patient and calm and zen
Of
now
course,
with
of
things,
course.
but then I was not. And the paper eventually flicked off into the darkness. I was like, okay, excellent. And I drove home. Didn't even look at the car when I got home. Next day, rain's passed, outside, looking at the car, massive dent. Someone had hit my car,
Yeah.
and I had no contact details. I had nothing.
That little white piece of paper just
That
flown away
little
with it
white piece
all.
of paper was what I needed. So, long story short, I contacted the place where I was parked. They had security footage. They had footage of the person who put the piece of paper under my car. They contacted them and they said, "Oh, we saw this car hit you and then hit your car and then drive off." So they very kindly took the details, the number plate, and popped it under my windscreen to help me. So I had people helping me, and I was not paying attention. And they couldn't remember what the details were. So long story short, I had to fork out a lot of money to have my car fixed. And that was a big lesson. And that's just one. I could rattle off so many stories where I've not listened and, life was harder. Life became harder because I wasn't paying attention, or I was paying attention, but I ignored it. And sometimes these things happen because there is big lessons in there, for lots of different reasons. But ultimately, if I had have trusted that, my life would have been easier because of it. I would have had
Yeah.
less stress because of it.
So it's like
And
a
so,
nudge or a voice or a thought, isn't it? That
mm,
that comes from, some people describe it as your higher power or your guides or just another part of yourself. But we all have it. These like
yeah,
little knowings, little
yes,
hunches. And some people feel it
yeah.
like a gut. They feel some physical sensation, don't they?
Yeah, and that's an important thing to note too, especially for people if they are just sort of starting out and wanting to learn more about this and their spirituality and how they can, work with this sort of stuff, and use it in their lives. There's no cookie cutter, there's no set way of having these intuitive knowings or receiving these communications. It comes, as you said, in all different shapes and forms and ways. And so, again, it comes back to play, I think, playing and being open and, asking people if what resonates. Yes, I'll try that. No, that doesn't work. Try something else. Feel into it in your own way. And then you learn over time what your way is. And some people can't even explain it. Like some people can't explain. If I said to someone, well, explain to me exactly how you get your messages or your communication or how your intuition talks to you. They can't put it into words. They
It's just
don't
a
know how
knowing.
it is. It's
Yeah.
just, it just is.
Yeah. So you don't have to be walking around seeing colors or having visions.
No,
It could just be a knowing or a
yeah.
sensation. But it's learning to trust that you do have the answers, isn't it? It's learning to trust that you can tap into what's right for you rather than what you think you should do or what someone's
Yeah.
telling you. Yeah, so it's going within. So powerful.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so when was a time that you listened to your intuition and it led to something amazing, Jo?
My intuition. probably one of the biggest times or moments for me in that was when I'm involved in a women's networking group, and it's a global group, and we have a Launceston, like a local Launceston branch of that, and the main core of this global networking group is in the UK. And I knew that one day I was going to meet them. I knew one day I was going to be at some kind of event. I just didn't know how. And that's the other thing. Even if we don't know how, we don't know the steps to get there or to do, it's still, despite that, trusting that knowing.
Mm.
And so I had this inner knowing that I was going to somehow meet these women on the other side of the world. And even prior to that, like a couple of years before that, I'd heard about, friends who'd been traveling and all over the world, and I had not done that. And I really wanted to do an international trip of some kind. And a couple of friends had said, well, what really worked for them was being able to have an anchor of some kind. So there was an event over in Italy, and that was so they went over for that, and then their holiday evolved, around that. And I thought, oh, that'd be good for me. Like I can see myself doing that. That's what I want. And I knew it was going to happen, but again, I didn't know how. And then late last year, this networking group announced that they were doing a big like 2.5 day conference in Ireland. And I straight away, I was like I got so emotional about it because I just knew. I was like, that's ticking all those boxes. I'm going to get to meet these other women that I've been talking with online. I'm going to get to do my travel with that anchor point of having the conference and then traveling around with that. And there's costs. It was an expensive holiday, managing my time and all that sort of stuff. So there's all the logistical stuff that creeps in, and I could very easily have gone, oh, can't afford it. Oh, no, it's too hard, blah, blah, blah. But I just leaned right into that instinct of mine, the intuition, and booked it and I ended up finding the money for it. The time sort of cleared itself so I could go. Everything just happened so naturally and so effortlessly. And so I ended up having this amazing 3.5 week holiday around the UK, met some amazing people, had the most profound experiences in nature and with other people. And I could have robbed myself of that experience if my fear had have got in the way, or if I had have, my mind had have stepped in and gone, nope, can't afford it, nope, da 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 da. But I
I
trusted it.
heard, I heard you even found the most perfect outfit in an op shop.
Yeah, see, and that's all tied into that same experience. So I found out that there was going to be like a fancy, red carpet style ball evening thing on the first night. And I was like, it was a couple of days before I was flying out. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have a dress like that. And so I thought, right, I had a couple of hours spare, a couple of days before I was flying out, and I jumped in my car and I'm driving into Launceston, and I was like, right, come on guys, where am I going? Like, so that's when I sort of pulled my channeling, ability. I pulled the channeling card there, and I saw the op shop, and it's not the op shop that I would usually go to. I've got a couple of favorites. I've gone there a few times, but that wouldn't have been my first choice. And I was like, oh, okay, because it's in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Finding parking anyway. Walked into the op shop, got a park right out the front. Walked in the op shop. There's this beautiful, stunning green dress on a mannequin, literally front and center, right there in the front door. And I looked at it and went, that is surely that can't be it. Tried on a couple of other dresses. No, not quite right. I asked the lady to get that one down. Fit me like a glove. Looked amazing. Cost me $10, something like that.
I
And
love
off I
that.
went. I was home. I was
Yeah.
out and home within an hour. And yeah, that
Magical.
was, yeah. And
That's
this
what
is the
happens when you
everydays.
listen.
Yes, this
Mm,
is where the everyday spirituality really comes into play. It makes life more fun. It makes life easier. Who doesn't want an easier life? I know I want an easier life.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, things run more seamlessly and effortlessly because we're
Mm,
listening and we're in our flow state and we're open to change and we're
mhm.
taking some chances and some risks and having a rest when we need to because we feel like we need to. It makes life easier and more joyful and way more fun. And
Yes.
that's my favorite part. I mean, I can do energy healings till the cows come home and have the most like I reckon I could write 5 books, 10 books on the experiences I've had doing energy healings for people and
Mm,
channeling stuff for people.
mm.
And that's amazing. But honestly, I get so much enjoyment and I feel so happy and alive when I'm having these everyday experiences. For me, that's where it counts. It's
Yeah.
huge.
It's the ordinary things that suddenly just become magical, like the car
Yeah,
park just opening up when you want it.
yeah.
And yeah, so what would you say to people that are like, oh, but nothing ever goes right for me, and oh, this law of attraction doesn't work, and people get bogged
Mm.
into that negativity. So where would you recommend they start in trying to tap into this everyday spirituality to start turning it around?
That's a really good question. Look, I don't. Sometimes there's a quick shortcut. Like I've
Mm,
had women come to me for an energy healing session, or someone's done a stellar journey, and it's been like night and day. They've gone from feeling the doom and gloom and feeling like if the
mm,
whole world's against them and nothing's working,
mhm,
to literally within the next hour or couple of hours seeing the brighter side and seeing more positive things. So there can be those really quick shifts in those mindsets and feeling in that state. But it takes work. It takes time and energy and effort. It takes you know a person to just start to notice the good things that are around you. Just start
mhm.
small.
Yep.
Find, set yourself a goal of finding one thing in your day that made you smile, or one thing in your day that made you feel good, that made you laugh, that because they
Mm,
are there, but we're just not noticing them because we are very good at getting in our own way.
yeah.
And the
Mm,
more we can start to notice these things. It's like we're not just working with energy here. We are forming new habits. We are, breaking or changing the conditioning that we've had. So if you've been brought up your whole life to see, your family, your parents, or whoever you grew up with were they were quite negative. They complained, they struggled, and so that was kind of the environment that you grew up in. It can be hard to break that conditioning. So it's not just about working with the woo stuff, working with energy and spirit. It's we're reconditioning ourselves as well and letting that stuff go. So when we can start to form these practice and play and start to create these new daily habits, it gets easier over time. You start to see more. And yes, it is about the law of attraction, but it's also through repetition and practice that we get through that stuff as well.
yeah, yep. I can relate to that. And a big practice of mine that I find helps me tap into the more positive side and noticing the good is
Mm.
coming into the heart and just reconnecting with gratitude. And it might be for
Oh,
the bird song in the
absolutely.
morning, but it has to be authentic. So I can't just fake it. So
Yeah.
but there's so many things to be grateful for once you start. So many
Mm.
things. And it can even be something in the past, but just getting back into that feeling of, oh, there is this beautiful thing that I feel thankful for right now. And then it
Yeah.
just changes. Like there's science behind it as well as
Yeah, there
energy.
is.
Like energy and science are so connected now.
Yeah.
There's so much evidence for it. But yeah, so that's what you were saying about notice the positive things. One
Mm.
positive thing, one good thing around you. That can
Mm.
be a great starting point, and it's a
Yeah.
practice. Yeah,
And just start, just start. Just try
yeah,
something. Just start
yeah.
somewhere. Because that's often the biggest hurdle too, is the actually starting, actually
Mm,
implementing something or trying something a bit different. Um,
yeah.
this is a funny example. I'm obsessed with sunsets. Like I'm obsessed with sunsets. I will
Mm,
ooh and ah and gush and sometimes even cry over how beautiful sunsets are every
yeah.
single day. My family used to bag me so much for it. They were like, oh, weirdo. Oh, mum's, sunset. They'd be mocking me. But I tell you what, it's starting to rub off. They'll
Uh-huh.
now sometimes send me their own sunset photo and say, check this out. And they may not be connecting with it in the same way I am. Two different people could be walking through nature and have entirely different experiences. Because I'm so energy sensitive and I've been working at this for a long time and working on myself for a long time, there is a depth to a sunset, say, that I feel that is, oh, it's healing. It's amazing. But even if someone goes from, oh yeah, sunset, not even giving it a thought, just nothing, no acknowledgement, if they can go from that to just actually stopping and going, whoa, and that's it, like that
Mm,
is a big step. That's amazing. Like you are
yeah.
seeing the beauty that's around you. You'll feel that gratitude for being alive. Like there's so much in it. And so I'm starting to rub off on them, which is great. And they're enjoying it in their own way. They're having
Yeah.
and they're starting to notice more things around them that they hadn't noticed before. Not all the time, but
Mm,
sometimes. And,
yeah.
that's pretty special because it all helps.
It does. Yeah. How many times do we just go through the whole day without noticing the beauty? So, like the
Yeah,
sunset is that one moment at the end of the day where you can pause and
yeah,
appreciate the sheer beauty and magnificence and connect to that sense of awe. So, I think
yeah.
that is such an easy, everyday spirituality tip. Watch
It
the
is.
sunset.
Yes. And how you watch the sunset, as an
Mm,
example, is entirely up to you. If you want to turn it into a ritual and do some journaling with the sun as it sets and with the colors in the sky, and you want to, set intentions and manifest and blah, 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 blah. If you want to, really fully lock in and immerse yourself in, knock yourself out, like go for it. And if you just want to use it as a moment at the end of your day to just pause, and that's your moment every day. Okay, I'm just going to pause and just watch that, even if it's for 30 seconds. That's
oh,
your pause
powerful.
time.
Yeah. And you
Um,
don't need to go too crazy journaling.
no,
You don't, I mean, you can, that's beautiful. But
yeah, you
it can be
can,
so
but you don't have to.
powerful, can't it? If you just have your cup of coffee, even, if you
Yeah,
still like your coffee, and just watch it and just
yeah,
feel just notice how you feel. Yeah.
yeah. Enjoy the colors, like enjoy the colors, and
Mm,
that's healing.
yeah.
That's yeah. There's a lot in it.
Accessible, easy to do,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, yeah.
transformational. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, if people want to find out more about your stellar journeys or book
Mm.
in for, are you still doing the energy healings as well?
Yes, I still do private sessions from time to time. Yeah.
Okay. So, the best way for them to reach you is,
On my website would probably be the best the best way for people to reach me. I am on social media as well. So yeah, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. But my website has got everything there. It's got all the information. So I don't know if you want me to share that now or we can just
Yeah,
put
yeah,
that in.
share it
Yeah.
for people listening, and I'll also put it underneath in the notes. So if they're
Okay.
listening and they just want to quickly go to it, what is it?
Yeah, it is www.lumanova.com.au. So Lumanova. And there's a whole
Mm.
story behind that name too, but it's on my website, so
Oh,
jump on there
is
and have
it?
a, it's a very cool story, yeah.
Oh, give me just a little hint. Is it about a bright star?
It is about it's about my star.
Ah,
Right from the first day I started doing energy healings for myself before I even had a business, I could see this star. That's where it started, seeing this star.
oh
And it was,
yes. You
um,
write about that in your book. I remember now.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that's been with me the whole time and it's evolved and now Luma Nova is the name of that star. I
Mm.
didn't name it. It told me what its name was
Okay.
and I have channeled that star from time to time as a healing helper for people when I'm doing healings and in the stellar journeys.
Mm.
It's an entity that it's been with me the whole time and I'm just now starting to work with it more and we're getting to know each other more. But yeah,
Mm.
so my business name has changed and evolved over the years and it's always been around that star that I see.
Wow. Okay, so that's exciting. We'll have to have a whole nother podcast. I want to ask you so much about that. Yeah. I will go over to
Mm,
Luminova and read the story and or
yeah, have a
contact
look.
Joe. Yes. Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much. I think this has been such a practical, useful conversation. Yeah, and I know it will just ripple out there, and the people that are meant to hear it will hear it, and you
Mm,
will keep creating little starbursts of awakening around the planet.
yes,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Thank you, Mel. This has been wonderful. I could chat to you all day.
Yes, I know. I could
It's been
too.
amazing.
Ah, yes. So before you go,
Mm.
you've got to give us your best owl impersonation for a bit of fun.
Oh, do I? Oh
You don't
gosh.
have to. It's an invitation if you feel like it.
My best owl impersonation.
Yeah, the
Okay.
sound.
The sound of the owl. Who, who? It's a very
Beautiful.
grounded, wise
Yeah,
owl, that
I
one.
like that. It was. You almost became an owl while I was watching you.
Yeah. I have a tendency to do that, to kind of
You just shapeshifted into
become
this
the yeah.
owl. That was really good. Yeah, I
Why,
felt
thank
that.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Ah, it's been such a pleasure. And
Yeah,
yeah, I look forward
likewise.
to maybe some more caving experiences with you and some
Yay.
more journeys. So thank you
More
so much.
adventure. Thanks,
Okay,
Mel.
you're welcome. Bye, everybody, and connect to
Bye.
the White Owl podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And yes, I'll endeavour to get a few more people interviewed soon because I am loving it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to log out of our Facebook Live and yes, drop any comments in the notes or the space beneath the live, and Joe or I will get back to you. Joe's gonna answer anything you ask her.
Yes. Yes, I am. I can't wait. I love questions. Ask me
Okay,
lots.
yes. Okay, bye Facebook. Bye.